Messiah, Thixo olungileyo, wasigcina wasilondoloza. Xa litshona ilanga malisolungileyo sibiza wena sihlala nathi. Thixo olungileyo, nantsi inkqubo izawuqhubekeka malisolungileyo. Siphe loo ngqondo wakhe wayipha uSolomon ngenye imini. Sikuthembile ke malisolungileyo uza kwenza njalo. Ngalo wasifelayo uYesu Kristu Nkosi yethu. Amen.
Amen. Nkosi kakhulu Ntombi, thank you so much. Sisilungi mandingabi waste ixesha ke kusebusuku. We are trying so much into yobana sithi go straight to the point. Welcome everybody. This is Conversations That Matters to Us. Striving towards finding inner peace. Namhlanje sithetha ngeendidi zemitshato, different types of marriages. Uyakwazi ukuthi sowutshatile lo mtshato uphinde ujike uthi hayi bendifuna lowa. That's what we want to know namhlanje. Over to you, gay advocate. Just introduce yourself a bit and then you go on.
Thank you, Pastor. Molweni bethunana, molweni nonke. Good evening, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Abazalwana abakhoyo here with us today. I greet you all in the name of Jesus Christ. My name is Lungelwa Mncochoboya. I'm practicing as an advocate in East London as well as Mthatha in the Eastern Cape. I think that's all from my introduction. Today I've been asked to talk about a very important topic in our lives, whether you're male or female. I think it's very important that everyone knows about these things. It's basically a topic for today is basically types of marriages. So we've got 3 different types of marriages that one can get into or can contract into. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I think so. Audible enough.
All right. We first have the civil marriage. That kind of marriage is where is the normal type of marriage which is entered into by a man and a woman. It is regarded as common in South Africa. It is the one whereby you simply go to your home affairs and the marriage officer solemnizes your marriage and then you get married. Or you can go to your pastor or to your reverend and then he solemnizes your marriage. The second one will be your customary marriage.
Sorry. Okay, muted.
Okay, let's take the second one to be civil unions. This kind of marriage is a marriage that is specifically for same-sex partners. Although it's not closed for same-sex partners only. Even opposite sex couples can get married into this type of marriage. The third and the last one will be our customary marriage. It is also a common type of marriage. This one, a customary marriage, whereby you don't necessarily go to home affairs, abakhwenyane and nonozakuzaku. They just go to family yaklo mchakazi or yaklo makoti and then ask for umakoti, and then after that bavunyelwe, and then koko kube khona ezanto zesintu zenziwayo ke, whether it's your tsiki, whatever, depending on different cultures we celebrate in marriages. in different ways according to our diverse cultures. I-requirements for a customary marriage, they are that it has to be both parties have to be 18 years and above. Second requirement a customary marriage is that both parties have to consent to it. The third one is the third requirement is that the marriage must have been celebrated in terms of the prevailing customary law of that particular community. Yeah, this one iyathanda ukuba controversial at times, but let's move on. We're done with types of marriages. Now we go to the marriage regimes. When I talk of marriage regimes, I talk of a marriage system. What kind of marriage do I want to get into, or do I want to contract? We've got in community of property, no out of community of property with accrual, no out of community without accrual. Let's first begin with in community of property. In community of property, une advantages ne disadvantages. Firstly, once you get married in that kind, you cease to exist as individuals. Whatever you do, you have, especially when it relates to contractual dealings, you need to involve your partner. For all your commercial purposes, you are seen jointly as spouses. What you bring into the marriage and all that you acquire during the marriage forms part of your joint estate, which you will have to have equal shares in case of whether it's divorce or it's in a case of divorce. Then upon the dissolution of in community of property, the joint estate will be divided into two and be shared equally between the two of you. This is where you divorce, you get divorced. In a civil marriage, you just get married. You don't. There's nothing you do before you can get married. You just go to Home Affairs if you want to. You sign whatever you sign there, and then you marry. And then you can be able. It saves you on legal costs because there's nothing that involves lawyers and stuff when you choose in community of property. You should bear in mind as well that you cannot get enter into any contracts by yourself. Every time you need to enter into a contract, whether it is a loan, it's a financial institution, whether you need to buy a car, whether you need to buy on hire purchase, your spouse will be needed. You will need to bring him in and then consent to it. Some institutions would even require that he or she signs something, the other spouse. Some they will just require a verbal consent. Then the deaths of one partner become deaths of the other partner. You cannot just say for instance, your husband has a debt for something that you don't know. Perhaps he bought a vehicle and you were not aware, and he fails to pay according to the contract. And when that comes back, you will also be part of it. They're not going to say, no, it was only the husband that got into contract. Both of you are involved. You, like I said, that you cease to exist as individuals. Whenever you need to get into a transaction, you will need another spouse, or if she or he is going to be needed. Also, if one spouse is being sued, whether he obtains a judgment against his or her name, it affects the other spouse. Even in a case where one spouse becomes sequestrated, it will affect the other spouse. If one is placed under debt review or under administrations, both of you will be affected. If one spouse is probably listed on credit bureau, they do not say, no, it was only him or it was only her. It affects both of you in that you also, as the second spouse who did not contract into that agreement, or who is not listed, you also form part of that. In that you can't get credit anywhere because your name is listed as well. Am I being audible still?
Yes, yes, Sis Lungi.
All right, should I continue?
Yes.
Everyone understands so far?
I don't see hands so far, so you can continue. If you've got questions, you can raise your hand or put something on the chat box. Continue.
Then all right, thank you, sis. Then we go to a second one, the one referred to as out of community of property. Remember I said on this type, we've got out of community of property with accrual and out of community of property without accrual. This kind, or this marriage regime, it basically protects one. It protects a person from the death of the other. In this kind, one may freely contract without the consent, or even the other spouse having to know. You are free. There's nothing that is being asked from the other spouse. You don't answer to the other spouse. You just do your thing. Even if after 2 weeks it shows up that you have a debt, you don't answer to anyone. Then in the out of community of property without accrual, what it means here is that everything that belongs, when we say everything, it means every property that belongs to you individually before and during the marriage remains the sole property of yourself, which includes both assets and liability. Everything that you brought into the marriage, it remains yours out of community of property without accrual. Then when we go to out of community of property with accrual, what does it mean?
Nto zakho.
Hmm. Okay, I'm asking someone to help me here. Okay, kubakeke sis. Okubuhlungu ngamithanga ngoku. Nathi. Okay, covered. You can continue, Sislul. Sislung. Unmute yourself, Sislungi.
I don't know what happened. I'm sorry
Okay.
about that.
Okay, sure.
Out of community of property with accrual. It means that assets and liabilities which each spouse bring into the marriage remain remain as that particular spouse's. It doesn't become a joint property. It remains yours. If you brought a vehicle, it remains yours. Whatever you brought, whether it's assets or it's liabilities, it remains yours. Then assets and liabilities which you acquire during the marriage form part of the joint estate for the purposes of distribution should the marriage dissolve. Now, remember you brought assets into the marriage and those they become yours individually. But assets that you acquired while you already married, it becomes it can be distributed jointly in case of a dissolution of the marriage, that is a divorce, the common form of dissolution of the marriage. Then during the subsistence, while the marriage is still in existence, one may contract individually, like the normal marriage out of community of property. You can be free to contract individually. You don't need the consent of the other spouse. Then the assets that one acquires are protected in law from the liabilities of the other. That is all the marriage regimes that one can get married into in South Africa. I don't know if there are questions so far. Or I can proceed to changing the marriage regime.
Okay.
Say, for instance, you get married and you choose an in community of property. Okay, there's one aspect I forgot. In the out of community of property, before one can get married out of community of property, there is an antenuptial contract that spouses need to sign. This is the kind of contract that informs and tells the kind of marriage that you enter. Then before your marriage, whether it's customary or it's a civil marriage, but before you guys, on the day of signing your of solemnization of your marriage, excuse me, you need to go to a lawyer who is going to draft an antenuptial contract for you. If you do not do that, your marriage automatically becomes an in-community of property. Actually, in South Africa, in-community of property is a default in that all marriages that one enters into, if he does not enter into that antenuptial contract, it automatically becomes an in-community of property. You can only change your marriage or decide to make it an out of community of property once you know you have a contract or that antenuptial contract that you sign. If you never sign that contract, your marriage is automatically in community of property. Let's say then you decide you've already entered into an in community of property. Then you decide, no, you were not aware. Then you decide, you are free. It's changeable. You are free to, yes, it is. You can change from in community to out of community and vice versa.
Oh,
You just need to go to a lawyer who is going to do an application for you to be able to be granted that whatever form of marriage you now decide to get married into. Because I know most of us, especially us Black people, we are so disadvantaged in that we lack knowledge. So and in marriages, the common ones are as is a customary whereby you just abantu baklo mkhwenyana, they go to umakoti's a household bayolobola, and then you get married, and then usiwe emzini celebrate marriage yakhona, then you sit there. You don't know what else, okanye kwenzeka ntoni emshadweni wakho. You don't know what form of marriage you entered into. Perhaps you can get information while you're still in that marriage. You are free to go to and approach a lawyer who can do who can make an application to change your marriage. Those people are called notaries. The people who specialize in drawing those the antenuptial contracts. It is in short called an ANC, antenuptial contract. So it's an antenuptial contract. If you don't sign that contract, just know that your marriage is in community of property.
Pineo was mute again, advocate.
No, I'm sorry, man. I think they are.
Okay, it's fine.
Thank you for that. Then it's also important that I mention a dissolution of a marriage. Most people, they think that a customary marriage, because you never went perhaps to home affairs, once you guys separate and live separate lives, most people think that it has ended. While in customary marriage now, you need to have a decree of divorce. You need to approach a court so that a decree of divorce can be granted. You don't just no, it doesn't end like that. You need to go to a lawyer to get someone's served to the other party, and then you can get a decree of divorce made by the court. I think I'm done.
Okay, thank you so much, advocate. Can ndibona ezifani zakho zininzi kwenzeka ntoni na?
Iifani zam kaloku zimbini, because you have a choice yoba you can, umnqotsho lo umbonayo is my maiden surname, then uboya yifani yam yasemzini. So every woman has a choice to either uthathe uboya, which is surname le yasemzini, or uthi hayi mna ndicela double barrela surname yam. You are free to do that. You just negotiate it, of course, with your spouse. If you have to, then just ifani yakho, make it a double barrel.
Ikhona option yokuremaina ungumnqotsho alone without double
Yes,
barreling.
nothing forces you to change surname yakho if you don't want to. If you don't want to, you can just remain with ID yakho le yakwamnqotsho. But uzobethwa ngumyeni. Or ke ube ngumnqotsho boya like me, or uthathe ke your fani yasekwindini kwakho.
Thank you so much. Ndikubuza ngamabomu le nto because it was never told to us, nobana you have a choice. Only when I did my test yokutshatisa as a marriage counselor, as a marriage officer, to realize nobana hayibo kanti sine choice yokuhlala nefani zethu, kanti sine choice yokuzisebenzisa zoyi-2, kanti sine choice yokuthatha ifani yakulomyeni. It was never explained to us. Hence ndikubuza, it is into esemthethweni into yobana even though utshatile ndingaremaina ndingungalwana ndibe ndingunkosikazi wasemanimini. So akunyanzelekanga qha ezi zinto zazifihliwe kuthi zisaziwa ngabantu abangafuni sizazi ezi zinto. Ngoku xa sizenza ingathi thina sitshate le mitshato kuyibalisa apha ingathi awutshata ngancam, because ayonto iqhelekileyo ezindlebeni zabantu, because it was never exposed ukuthi these are options that we have. Fikile, your hand is up. Can you unmute? Fix. Sabawel
Thank
double
you.
barrel.
Good evening to everyone.
Evening.
Advocate, I'd like for you to please take us through annulling marriages, what the process of annulling a marriage is, what perhaps if you can touch briefly on certain cases that that speak to what leads to that annulment. And my second question, shoot, literally left my head now. I'll remember and ask again, but in the meantime, please can I just ask that you take us through the process of annulling a marriage, what for us to even get to that point. Thank you.
Did you get that, Advocate?
Yes, I did. I wrote it down.
You can respond so that we don't take too many.
Perhaps let's take 3. Then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I don't see hands. Do you have questions?
I saw some questions written. I couldn't read them.
In the chat box. I think the one here from Mam Angie, you have answered it. Uguti, Advocate, can you change from in community of property to out? I think you have responded to that one. Ladies.
Oh, I remember. Sorry, I just remembered. What conversations, or how do you think we can start the conversation of around the idea of other types of marriages? I mean, you've mentioned that in communities of property becomes the default, and then in some instances when people raise wanting something outside of in community, the first question is, do you plan to leave this marriage, or are you not fully committed? So perhaps what would you, from your opinion as an advocate, how do you think we could approach such conversations without coming across as people who are not fully in it, or people who are ready, who have one foot in and one foot out? Yes, that's the question I had.
Okay, noted.
Any hands? You can respond to that one, Sis Lungi.
All right, I'll respond to the two. First, the annulment of the marriages. You need to approach an attorney or a lawyer. She or he's going to make an application for you. Obviously, you're gonna give reasons to her or him. Then it is him who is going to see whether you've got valid reasons. Yeah, I'm not sure if I answered you or I answered your question correctly.
Fix, you can assist now and then you give us the examples. I know you are close to this field.
I'm closely answered. It's just that, you know, I've often heard that Fikile is married to someone, and then person disappears and is now living in Johannesburg with a new family. I can't find him because now I live somewhere in the middle of the Western Cape, for example. And then that's how people talk about how their marriages were annulled or something. Is that even grounds? I've heard that there are celebrities, for example, who get married and within 55 hours of marriage, they're done. So I don't understand how do we get to say that this isn't a divorce, this is an annulment? Where do we draw the line? What's the difference? I think I do get the difference, but perhaps for someone else who may not necessarily know the difference between a divorce and an annulment, how do we get there? So yes, you're saying that there are various reasons, but perhaps in your experience, what may have been grounds, or have you heard is ground for an annulment, and which isn't necessarily what we would normally know as divorce? I don't know if I make sense, Mama.
Okay, yes, I think I do hear you. Divorce is a divorce. Then annulment is when say the other party did not give you the information which, if you had known before consenting into that marriage, you would not have gotten into that marriage. Then that marriage will be annulled. Meaning that it will be taken as if there was never a marriage, unlike a divorce where you know that, okay, I've been in this marriage for about 6 months. Now I need to separate from this person, then you divorce. But this one, it's taken as if you were never you never got married. Even your status will not change. It will remain as if you never got married, because your marriage will be regarded, that a purported marriage will be regarded as a null and void, as if it never existed.
All right, Sis Angie. You can
Okay, can I finish answering the other question of hers?
All right, sis.
She said something about approaching conversations. How does one go about approaching the other spouse for a particular marriage regime? specifically she mentions out of community of property.
I just
I
want
would
to
say
check,
it depends.
Sis Lungi, I just want to check with Fix Ebebuza in particular with the spouse okanye, how do we get to know these different types of marriages? Fix the situation yakho ne?
So it's not as if
No. This was one. Me and I'm still single. I'm preparing to get into marriage.
Yes.
Yes. So now how do I bring up the conversation around, hey, I know we're about to get married, but I don't want to go into community property. Actually, I want a prenup. So how do we start that without me coming across as a person who has 1 foot in and 1 foot out? It's like digi, and I'm not sure man they're chat.
You know, Ceci, I can't say there's a particular way to do it. I think it depends from a couple ne couple, because you always want to know the other party izofila njani. It depends on how you approach it. For instance, you can approach it regarding as this that I mentioned, that you remain bound in everything that you do. You remain bound. If you go buy something, you need your spouse's consent. So I can't say there's a particular way of doing it. It depends, and also we on the understanding of the other spouse. If you lucky enough, you can win. But if you're not, then you might not win. But you just need to put facts on the table for the other spouse to understand. For instance, issues so SARS. If, for instance, you owe SARS, when as a woman or as a wife, automatically the other spouse or we in community of property will be involved, or yeah. So if you convince the other spouse about those things, perhaps she might agree or she might not. It really depends from person to person and from couple to couple.
Before I go to Sis Angie, I just want to mention this kufix nakwabanye abantu ukuthi mhlambi i-premarital counseling will assist on this issue. But I think i-danger ye-premarital counseling ukuthi siza kwi-premarital counseling with my partner sendigqibile ubana I am going to get married to this person. Sifune into yobana i-marriage officer yenze imilingo to change the person to be what we want to get married to. Kanti ndicinga uba mna in my own small mind bekumele i-premarital counseling yenziwa mhlambi zezantetho zenziwayo emabhomeni, zezantetho zenziwayo xa sikhulisa abantwana, zezantetho zenziwayo, so that ube ready for ukutshata before you can even choose a partner. Because once you choose the partner, awukhathaliseki noba umfundisa ngathini okanye the marriage officer any constitution ngathini na, because you already took the decision that this is the person that you want to get married to. So if premarital counseling will assist in those avenues fixed to say these are types of marriages only if marriage officers nazo the proactive and innocent and then transparent to us ukusixelela ngazo zonke izinto ezikhoyo, because automatically as uSisi Lungi esithi ukuthi in community of property, it's like a default in South Africa. Automatically, you go there. We were never told that there are options. There are different types of marriages that one can go to. So I think if we can use premarital counseling, not in hope, so you choose the partner before these platforms as kaweni sithethe ngezi zinto. Once you find a partner nobody can convince you. So after 6 months, it's not what I thought it is. I'm not sure if the fix.
Definitely, I'm answered. Thank you, Mom.
Thank you so much. Sis Angie?
So it also, just to add more, it also depends on one's reasons for wanting to choose
Yes.
the other one marriage regime over the other.
Yeah.
For instance, if your reason, I'm just making an example. If your reason would be that, if you see that, okay, mna ndinguNosipho, I've got a car of my own, I've got 2 houses registered under my name, I've got another house in Cape Town. Then you meet this gentleman. Yena unale moto yakhe only. Obviously, chances that you will opt for a out of community of property will be slim. Of course, people are different, but most people, they will look at what they have. Apart from the fact that you are bound jointly in contracts, but some people look at the properties that they own. So then it will depend on the other spouse, how he views your decision. Hence, in the city, it really depends from person to person, because abantu, they do this for various reasons. Their choices depend on various reasons.
Okay, thank you, Sis Lungi. Sis Ma'am Angie?
Mandibulele ke mfundisi na ku-advocate. I think into yoba ke yonke le nto bendifuna uyibuza seyiphendulwe, but ke ndiyafuna nje ukutsho ukuba ngolu hlobo ayibeka ngalo, it is exactly like that. Le nto yenzekayo yokuba esithi ke apha eSouth Africa in community of property i-type of marriage engu-default. Njengoba umfundisi besetshilo, ezi zinto azithethwa kuthi, andani noba le nto kuthi iyanyiswa ne-culture na, because isikhibe ngathi culturally immediately ufuna ukuthi explore kwezinye ii-types ze-marriage, isikhibe ungena ngenyawo eli-1. Having said that, ndiyafuna kuyiveza nale ithi, you know, xa usowuphakathi yonke emtshatweni kulaa question that I asked earlier, ngoku ufuna urivesa, ne? Not necessarily ukuphuma emtshatweni, but ufuna utshintsha the regime, this marriage regime, uye kwenye. Uphinde ke ngoku uputhwe under pressure by your family, by your friends, by isikhibe ngathi ke ngoku hayi ke ngoku uzibone kuba uzibone ba that you have assets, ne, that you have acquired, and you also feel into yoba hayi ingathi ngoku the other party maybe is not really abantu abafani mo, so omnye mhlawumbi umbone uba hayi akakho kulaa nto. Kodwa kukhona ikheyisi yabantu endandikhe ndabakhapha beyotshata, the woman immediately esithi ke ngoku sisecourt, sisipha ecourt, ewe phaa kwamantyi, whatever. So uthi ke ngoku no, yena she wants to marry out of community. Yo, what marriage officer? Hayi sisi izabande le nto uzanilibazisa because afuneka ngoku uyocomplete ezinye izinto. And I felt into yoba she's being intimidated ngoku, because watsho ngelizwi elincinci uba ndiyavuma, like uba uyabuza lo mfana ngoku uba lutshatisayo uba uyafuna okanye ufuna utshata, uthi ndiyafuna. Ngoku kutheni ufika apho ufuna out of community? Yabona ispouse sakhe sithi hayi betshilo uthi lo mfana ayikhange nindixelele ngona nisezi appointment, because ngoku zikhona ezinye izinto efuneka zenziwe before ndibe kanti ndinitshatisa ku-out of community. And I felt into yoba no, lo uyi-marriage officer is being unfair, okanye ikhona into engaphaya angafuni ukuyichaza. So I think into yoba ke i-advocacy iyanideka kuthi zi-females kakhulu kule nto yemitshato, because ke ngoku abanye abantu bazifilisha bebophelekile kulo mtshato umntu wayengene engenanto ivulekileyo, engenangqondo ivuleke kakhulu malunga nawo. Ngoku mhlawumbi uyanqwenela utshintsha, but ke siyoyika ke ngoku neepressure neentoni. Enkosi kakhulu advocate, mna I'm very clear. In fact ke mna ke ndine-double barrel, zange ndoyike njengoba kufundisa ngalo.
All right, let's go to the chat box. Uslish
Thank you, ma'am.
uthi ukhona luthi andisabaweli double barrel, andisabaweli. Stop bawela, do it. Ukhona Uslish uthi if you are married but not change your surname at work and your ID, and nothing will bind you to buy any property, will bind you to buy any advocate property in this kind of not changing surnames.
Remember, if whether you change your surname or not, but in marital status yako has changed, you are now category married instead of never married. So as long as the kind of marriage you entered is in community of property, then you will be found. Whether your surname will remain or you're still married.
All right.
I just before sorry ma'am.
All right.
Before Sahlukan, I just want to emphasize in the yala anti-nuptial contract. I've heard who just left making that example where she said this couple went to a marriage office. That's what normally happens to some people. You find that on a day before your appointment, you only realize then, we didn't do anti-nuptial contract. Abanye seyefikile pha ku-marriage officer. They only realized there and then ukuthi we were supposed to have done the marriage counselor, we lawyer, and it's not done for free. Yeah, but perhaps we will not have that money at the time. So it's something that you need to plan. If you know you're gonna go get married, then do go see a lawyer named the anti-nuptial contract. Even with a customary marriage, le ungayi kwa home affairs for yona, le yona ulotyolwayo and then usiwe emzini wakho. Remember, a customary marriage, one of the requirements is ukuba your marriage is celebrated customarily. So one of the factors zoku celebrate custom marriage in our culture thina singamaXhosa. It starts with lobola negotiation. Once there are lobola negotiation, then that is the beginning of umshado wako customarily. Then it proceeds and gets concluded by a bride being delivered at the groom's home, and then a celebration is done there, which includes the otsiki nezinye ke mhlawumbe izinto ezingabe zenziwa unotyiso lwamasi ezazinto. Then that concludes that marriage is recognized in our law. So even in that kind of marriage, you do need to go and draw up or get a lawyer draw up for you that anti-nuptial contract. Otherwise, if you don't do that before your customary marriage or umshado wakho, then your marriage will be taken as incomplete. I hope I didn't disturb.
All right, Katie, is there another comment? Slish ngifundile ka Slish kaMfundisi uFaleni ithi premarital counseling must also advise us on how best should we go out of marriage in case there is a need. Pastors should stop behaving as if there is only in marriage and no out. I think it is clear. uGalaxy uthi sendithathe eyomzi, can I double to the barrel? Asazi ke Galaxy. Then ufikile uthi low key think people, mostly women, are bullied into COP and taking his surname with no discussion around the table barrel, around the double barrel, especially because we come with the mentality that the women, we are tatwa. I met a guy that said his wife would never take a double barrel because his ancestors doesn't recognize it. She either takes his surname or they don't get married, which is the bullying in speaking of, amongst other things. Men aren't open to the idea of double barrel. Yes, I think kunjalo people, it's like that. Most people remember kaloku abefundisa ngabantu abangotata, so they favored this side only. Inyaniso mayithethwe apha kule platform ukuthi isikhule abefundisi ngodata, so they never bothered to tell us the other things that we have these options. It is only now that is ikhona, and ke ngoku siya stigmatize ngazo ukuthi no. If you are using double barrel, ungene half kulo mtshado, ungenanga wonke, ingathi awukho apha kule nto. And I don't think it's about that, it's about many things. Thank you so much. I don't see any hands there. Even the chats are not, they are finished. Yeah, there's no chat.
Can I quickly answer Usisigo ebesithi mnandi? I've already taken Ifania's engine. Yes, you can still change. It's simple as going to the Home Affairs and just change your surname like you would do with any other surname. You pay that fee that's being paid by Home Affairs. Yes, you can still do it. I think, Tina, as women, we have a responsibility to sit down with the spouses and tell them about these things. At some point, we both in clear institution of marriage, we both adults here, we both like independent. I will just tell you, Bana, I've decided Bana if I am double. That's not being disrespectful. It's my right. I can do in front of me. But later, yeah, ancestors. I and yes, Banda, which and no process. I and yes, ancestors.
But I think we also need to say in this platform, if you do that, you must be ready for any consequences, because it can lead up to something else. So ndifuna ukuba asizange uzochitha imitshato yabantu apha, but sizoveza izinto that were not exposed to us. But I want to warn you, be ready for anything. Uzobe uqinisekile into yobana uyafuna usafuna uba kulo mtshato. It's better that xa sowungenile ngoku uyidiscuss nomyeni wakho. Discussing is awuceli permission but uyayincokola ne, so that singavi ngomso kuthiwa ungalwana uzomosha imitshato yabantu apha. Slish uthini?
Manibulisa mfundisi. Bulisa kakhulu naku lanto ingaka. The program. Case mfundisi apha ekhaya yakho. Lo sisi wachata nalo tata, then efumanisa ukuba lo tata ke noko lixhegwana lakhe ne, bachata bagqiba benza white wedding, okay, kwamnandi kwa right, bahlala. Bathe besanduhlala benjalo, wey kwacaba utata lona unabantwana abade babe bangangale nkosikazi yakhe. Then zavela izinto zaninzi and apha ke ngoku kungekho right because kaloku unabantwana abangangale nkosikazi. And ke ngoku kwacaba inkosikazi ngoku yona ayikho free and comfortable kulo mtshato wayo ke ngoku. But within some 2 months babe sebecaba ngoku kuyahlukwana kuyathini because kuvela izinto ezinkulu into yoba abantwana banoomama babo, you see. Then after that caba ngoku bayadivosa, right? Wadivosa ke ngoku, udivosa kwakhe baselefuna utshintsha izinto zabo, bahlule iinto zabo. Ubona ufumana into yoba akakwazi uzifumana because tata lona ke ngoku izinto zakhe zithe tata and sons izinto zakhe. Waphela ke ngoku esithi hayi bo, ezi bendizifika ngoku nazo mna ndizisuka nazo ekhaya, akho nento ndiyifumanayo tu. Kwathiwa immediately ingena kule yadi awusafumananga niks wena, uphuma ublank. And even waya kwii-lawyers neentontoni wafumanisa uba heyi uphuma engenayo niks, uyaluza yonke into. I so wish ukuthi abantu ke ngoku kwiikheyisi ezinje babe aware into yoba kulo mntu bangena kuye bangena kumntu onjani, onezinto zakhe ozibhale kwi-trust okanye kwiintontoni, angazufumana ke ngoku unkosikazi. Noba angade afumane igqwetha elithini, iphele eluza yonke loo nto yakhe ebesenayo kulo mzi. Sendiba kule case injalo ndayibona ndayithini nam ndaxakwa uba heyi hayi i-serious this case. I so wish ukuba abantu abangamalady bayazi uba kukho iikheyisi ezinjeni. Andiyazi uba angathini kumama ngento enjeni, uyayazi na? Enkosi.
Okay.
Enkosi
Uzamphendula
Thank you,
okanye
ma'am.
siqale siphakamise ufikile Lungi.
Okay, singamthatha ufikile.
Fikile. Fix your network fix is not good. You are
Too
cutting.
much. In a polygamous marriage. Let me fix it.
I think while Esa fixer, perhaps let me deal with the previous question or comment. Ma'am, it depends about what kind of marriage ebebe abo bantu. Was it in community of property? But in this case, as you put it, it looks like it was out of community of property.
Sorry,
But
ma'am.
then,
Community, sorry, ma'am.
It
was
sorry, I didn't get that.
It was in community of property.
No, that if it was a community of property or in community of property, it's not possible because in community, kahle kahle, it's eyam yeyam. I mean, eyam yeyakho, eyakho yeyam. Meaning that whatever you own, even this is nandoni na or onayo, yeah, it belongs to both of us. Especially in a case where they separate or their marriage dissolve, get divorce, then it's clear again because eyam yeyakho neyakho yeyam. Izinto zabo they get separated in distributed in equal halves. So I don't get it. Perhaps you can talk here on the side and you can give me more information about that and get more facts around it. But what I know is that in community of property, eyam eyakho, eyakho eyam. Whatever, noba ndifike ndingenanto, then ndafikela apha kulo mzi kwakhona imoto, okanye ndafika ikhona imoto, okanye yakhona sendikhona. But half of, if the value of the motor at the time, divorce is 60,000. 30 to you, 30 to me.
Okay, I'm sure ikhona nje into eyenzekayo pha slash ukuthi ukhona umqhathanqathano nomginyagwinyana owenzekayo, because honestly kuyo yonke le mitshato bubalwa ngo-advocate awukho umtshato nomkhupha ephaca kuyo. So mhlambi noba nje wa-overpowerishwa zizinto ezithile, we don't know. But I think the platform has opened our eyes, especially it's a pity that ndibona umfundisi uNcagwana qha apha. Most yabefundisi andibaboni, but I think it is a call to marriage officers ukuthi mazibe transparent to the couples, and also zingapheleli nje ku-cancellation abantu. Kubalekile into sibe proactive, singapheleli ukuthini kuphelela apha. But umfundisi uBhuqa is here. I did not see him this time. Decide uba siScorpion okanye abe yiHawks andimboni. All right, sibabalwe. Oh, son of Kwaimo.
Molweni mfundisi.
Webhuti.
Hayi. Asimohla ke lu. Hey, this is very interesting. And ngonhle lapha ndiyabila, ndimane ndizosula. Eyona nto endibilisayo. Okokoko xa ndiva kuncokolwa ngeencoko ezinje, even when it's only men, awuke weva amadoda ethetha ngale nto. I've never, maybe utata Nqagwana nomfundisi uBhuqa would tell a different story, but I've never had men bexoxa ngezinto zoba in community of property, what not. But reality is that even though kuchatwa kuthiwe for better or worse, sometimes US law goes far west. So abantu baphethe bekhangela indlela ophuma. And indlela umtshato lo esikhula, I think nayo iyayenza into, especially ukuthi as men esikhula uyiyo. I-reality is that imitshato thina esisalelwe kuyo has always been dominated by men. And umzekelo ekhaya utata is never honoring. Like xa ubuzayo utata would say, hayi into yonxiba iringi into yabafazi leyo. Thina kwangumfazi wayenxiba iringi, akho ndoda yayinxiba iringi, izinto ezintsha ezo bla 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 bla. And you'd see that izinto ezincinci ezinjalo and bona indlela abayithetha ngayo, there's nothing wrong, like it's normal. And nomama would laugh and say, hayi thina sasingaziqhelanga ezo zinto. You'd see that ngokuya kutshintsha amaxesha wena izinto zithanda uxaka kancinci. Then ke coming to this, oyena mntu wenze uba ndibe ndiyathetha ngusisi lo ebethetha ngomntu owaphume ngenanto. Hey, ndathi hayi utakhonyawo lomfene na apha. But then umbuzo wam ubuzofika kule ndawo yoba umcimbi we-will uhamba uphelele phi xa in community of property.
Okay.
Because isininzi sethu, the new generation, siyakholelwa ekutheni umuntu makabe ne-will madoda. So uhamba uphelele phi. So xa usekwi community of property, there is no way yoba uspouse lo angakhatyelwa ngaphandle mhlawumbe. I'm just thinking. That's my question.
All right, advocate, unmute.
Thank you, Budi. Enyanisweni nyhani, it's rare for abantu abangootata to have this kind of discussions. I don't know why. I'm glad you're here. Okay, now be part of this conversation. Perhaps nizosixelela uba kwenzeka ntoni in your minds and understanding yenu of ezi zinto. Coming kwesa speaker besithetha ngomntu owaphuma engenanto. Remember, ndide ndathi phayana, especially if i-dissolution ye-marriage was through divorce. Unlike if it was a death, because if it was a death, then it will, if there was one, would kick in. But in that case, because it was a divorce, then it's different. Then akho ndaba ye-will, will does not apply with divorce. But then if then you get separated through a divorce, then you can use your will then to distribute izinto zakho for to your chosen ones. But again, nayo ke indaba wills, it's a long story for another day. But it's important as well for one to draft the will so that properties zakhe are distributed according to i-will yakhe or ukuthanda kwakhe or i-wishes zakhe.
All right, I think the question ebibuzwa ngumsomi ithi ngitshatile. Sithathe in community of property. Kukhona i-will apha. Kwenzeke into kokubana mhlambi angabikho omnye abe engabhalwanga at all kuwili, mhlambi things were not okay kwangoba besaphilile. Kwenzeka ntoni pha kula will? Do you get your 50% in spite of the will, okanye the will decides ukubana ngokohlobo lomuntu ebebhale ngalo? Do you understand?
Yes. The will decides, hence it will inayo ibaluleke gqithi, because iyakudecidela ubana unika bani izinto zakho. Then your will decide for you.
In spite of in community. In community akangeni ndawo will.
Yes.
Okay. Ndicinga into yoba sivile ke. Let me go to chat ekhoyo apha. Uthi uNomzi, this may be covered. Oh, this may be covered. Please let me know if I'll find it in recording. But there is a bit of a trend now among my peers that is divorcing so that we remarry with antenuptial contract. And the cry is always about cost of changing marital regime. Can advocate talk a bit on changing marital regime or post-nuptial contract? Or villain advocate?
Yes, I think Dibambile.
Nancy Paguchat, Nomzizibi.
She's complaining. I'm not sure if I've captured it correctly. She's complaining about the cost of the change.
Yes.
Yes, iyabiza yona ke sisi ke izobiza, but ayibizi kakhulu, but ke iyabhatalelwa. That's the fact. Iyabhatalelwa. It's not for free. But ayibizi kakhulu.
So it
depends from lawyer to lawyer.
Lawyer, okay.
But it's something that ifana nokuthengiswa kwendlu uba uyabhatalela okusalayo. Xa ukuthengisa indlu isiya komuntu, you pay for that.
Okay, so it's cheaper to divorce or to remarry with the kind of contract that you want. Cheaper with disadvantages, of course.
It's cheaper xa udivorsa uthini na?
Xa udivorsa uphinde uthi remarry ngokwale choice niyifunayo xa ubaleka i-cost.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Unless also ibhatalela i-divorce, because nayo kaloku i-divorce you pay a lawyer to for ukwenza i-divorce yakho.
So either
Yeah,
way,
but nayo i-divorce is not for free. You pay for a divorce, then ke ngoku uye kulo mtshato ke ngoku. And then xa ufika kulo mtshato, if you change into the out of community, naphaya it means you'll pay for anti-nuptial contract.
Yes. Okay. Sis Nomzi, unmute.
Sorry, thanks a lot. Actually, I am starting to notice, Obana, a lot of my friends, now we are at that age, up business is starting to take off, or you established in your career, and so Abandu are starting to do this. But what I've noticed is that it also takes time between the divorce being finalized up until Umdu can remarry again. But I'm just sharing from what people have done. Usually, my friends, the husband will be the one who is initiating the divorce. The wife is not contesting, and then she's not paying anything. And then he takes care of the fees. And they are saying that it was presented to them, Okuba, this is the cheaper cost, as opposed to the process of changing the marital regime, which involves going to high court, then even court fees. And it just takes a bit of time because some declarations you have to make and notify your creditors, things like that. And then draw up the post-nuptial contract. So you also have those fees from your notary, I think. And then, then your regime is changed, and then you have to, again, I think it must be published in your local newspaper or something. Then it will be published again, between these two people, their marriage regime has changed. That's what they've said. But I feel like it's such a big deal. What if one of you, and in the time period before you remarry, so people are kind of doing that, but secretively, not telling, especially parents, and then telling them after. But actually only married for a year, not 12 years or whatever it is. But yeah, thanks.
Thank you. I think we have dealt with this in my space of work, whereby a couple did this and then decided because of debts, it was because of debts, they wanted to pay debts, and then they decided to go this route. But unfortunately, one of the spouse passed away, and now one loses all the benefits that he was supposed to get. So everything in life has advantages and disadvantages. And I think in essence, in legal aspects, I think that is also a fraud. What Nomzi was talking about, if we can be realistic about it, because it means we are not true. It is not right. But again, we are doing it because we think it's the shortest way, but it has disadvantages too. All right, let me go to the chat box. We are about to finish. We are wrapping up now, Siba. Growing up, we were always told that marriage is just the government trying to mind your business. Kodwa, does cohabitation or life partners don't count as a type of COP, eventually considering the duration we have been together? Fat and set sisilungi iya consideration.
No, ma'am, I consider if I can set. If you're not married, although there are circumstances up and can give a good way, it depends on the period any enough pattern set ngayo, and then it can be argued that one spouse can benefit out of the property of the other spouse. But then it depends, it will depend from case to case.
Yeah, there is a lot of forms that you need to fill for that one. They call it a life partner, Anne. But if you want to claim, there's a lot, I saw it, a lot of forms that you need to fill up. So to claim the things, to say we are staying together for such a long time, we have accumulated these things together in most cases, not in all cases, but in most cases, because ngabo abaphangelayo amaxesha amaninzi bathenga ezi zinto kodwa balose at the end of the day. It has a way of you can claim, but pending udilishana nefamily enjani. Are they fair? Are they considerate? You were the one who was working, who bought most of your stuff. But it depends. Everything in life has advantages and disadvantages. You just need to know your rights and be aware. That's why we created this platform, so that we talk about these issues and open our eyes to see this doesn't and we need to be proactive. You can close up, Sis Lungi.
In closing, there's one aspect I think is also important, that say you married in community of property, whether you were aware or not, then you get divorced, and it happens that the husband has or he wants he's gonna benefit, you're gonna both benefit because it's 50-50. It is possible for the spouse who feels that the husband does not deserve to get this a vehicle or the proceeds of this house. However, for you to be able to succeed in it, you need to prove to the court certain things. But it's basically called a forfeiture of property, whereby you apply for him or for her to forfeit certain property that you believe he does not or she does not deserve to get. It does not always succeed. It depends how you argue a case. It depends on the available evidence. It depends on the evidence that you were able to produce. That's one other aspect that's of importance.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sister Lungi. Thank you so much, the audience, for your time. And I think I am intentional about these conversations, because as long as we continue to give these terms that define a man, that these victorious terms that abantu abangotata bawasebenzisayo, because a model of man that will look after Jesus Christ did not even own a donkey, did not even own a property, but he was respected in his own way. But why now do we have to align ourselves with all these things? Why? Because gender-based violence link yayo ikwezi zinto ekuthini umuntu oyindoda uzazibona engathi akayondoda ngokuqanda izazibiza ungalwana kodwa nitshadile. Into okwenza nantoni loo nto because ndingumfazi wakho mos ndiyakwenzela zona into kufuneka ndizenzile. Into okwenza nantoni into yobana ndifuneka ndizifanye yakho ukuze uqonde uba ndingumfazi wakho. Why do you need to own me? But kudingeka ke size nazo smoothly, not aggressively as talks. Senzela mna for the next generation because ngoku thina sesisetrapini ngoku. We can't go back. Sesisetrapini. But ke ngoku iwari yam kukuthi ingacontinuishi icycle ye-abuse ne-gender-based violence. And asizukwazi ukuthi xa sisilwa into ye-gender-based violence sijonge phezulu. We need to dig deeper and find the root cause of kutheni umuntu oyindoda xa engazophangela ezawuzibona ingathi useless okanye akathanda okanye akatheni. It's only psychological okanye mostly it's psychological, not because umuntu yena aphendile akahoywanga. Nguye oqala uzibona azibone engahoywanga, amehlo wakhe amanifeste le nto afuna ukuyibona. So we are trying to have these conversations because we want to sleep peacefully at night. May God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your choices, your data, your time. I always know and make sure that Wi-Fi, we can watch Netflix series, do anything. But I want to say, tuning in onto these Zooms helps and develop us so that tomorrow we are better human beings. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Thank you so much for the informative session. I have taken a lot of points that are valuable. Please, Bazalwane, let's not fight, negotiate. So lapha ke ngoku, so chatile, wasebenza le fani for all these years. Remember, izabafani ngoxa usithi gqengomso usithi hey, ngifuna ukubiza ungalwana mina izaba. You need to introduce it kakuhle. Mhlambi i-strategy ukubana awujoyina into this Zoom, join with him or her. So that kungabikho lula ukuyiqala le topic na le conversation uyithathe from here, but smoothly without a fight, because we want to create a better world whereby everybody feels important and equal to one another. May God bless you. Thank you very much for your time. Nilale kakuhle. Next week I have something here. Next week we have a service. Service next week asizuthetha sizawuthanazela exams. Umfundisi uGadini from Ewisile, I was together with him esikolweni University of the Western Cape. Uzasenzela i-service ye-exam prayer, being it a university, being it wherever, it's not only for matriculants, but it's exam prayer. So next week, tune in, the same link. We are having a service next week, not a talk, but a service. Thank you very much. I would request we wear our uniforms if we can, but if we can't, just come as it is. I don't have a problem. I'm not particular, but it would be nice to have our members in uniform, those who are wearing uniform. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Pastor Ngalwana. Thank you to everyone who joined in. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to impart some knowledge. I hope it helped everyone, or it will help everyone who was in here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sis. Thank you. Bye. Sleep well.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Sleep well.